Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth mayoral candidate conversation. With us today is Jason Brown, who is the secretary of our board of directors, as well as Deborah Peoples, who is running for mayor of the city of Fort Worth. To get us started, let me tell you how the session is going to go. I will introduce Deborah in just a little while, and she will talk for about 15 minutes, and then she is open and welcomes questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box, not the chat box, the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your screen. And then at the end of her presentation, Jason will ask her the questions as well as others we have from our board of directors. So during her time, just remember anything that comes up you would like to ask Deborah, just put that in the Q&A. Now, Deborah, how we usually get started is acquainting our members and our guest, our mayoral candidate guest, a little bit, to tell them a little bit about Sister Cities. Now, I know you, and I know you pretty well, and I think you know us pretty well. And I will share with all of you that Deborah served on the Fort Worth Sister Cities Board of Directors for 6 years. It's been a little while since she served, but she's traveled with us to Reggio Emilia, Italy, and represented us well on one of our official trips there. And she was a valued member for those 6 years. So Deborah, things haven't changed too much, but then again, it's changed a lot. We now have 9 official partner cities around the world, and we are now in our 36th year to promote Fort Worth internationally. Now, you know all about the youth exchanges because I know you've had students in your home from Eswatini and our International Leadership Academy. All of our youth programs are flourishing. And we've done quite well, if not even exceeded expectations this past year, even doing it virtually. But we all know in-person relationship building is really key in our citizen diplomacy work, and we hope to get back to that soon. One thing you may not know is that there are some organizations in Fort Worth who have stepped back their role in international relations. But we, as an organization, want to increase our presence in the arena and become the Center for International Relations for the city of Fort Worth. Now, we are a valuable organization in many ways, but in order to fulfill that role, I think just the fact that we have such long-standing relationships with international leaders, we have access to local, internationally focused resources. We've got subject matter expertise and protocol, international relations, and experiential global education. You know we've got a cadre of wonderful volunteers, knowing that you and your family have been those volunteers at one time or the other. And we've got outcome-based programming now that we are measuring through a grant we received from the Morris Foundation, but we are able to measure our youth programs and actually justify the comments we make on how it changes their lives, and it is. We have personal relationships with citizens from other countries, and you know, I think since you've left, we've done it again, but we've now won Best Sister Cities Program in the nation for the 10th time. So Fort Worth has got a great Sister Cities program, but we want to do more, and I'm delighted that you joined with us today to hear about this and for us to get to know you as well. Let me now introduce Deborah Peoples. Deborah Peoples earned her Bachelor of Science and Master of Business Administration from Texas Woman's University. She was born in Texas and 43 years ago started working in Fort Worth's Human Relations Commission. Ms. Peoples has been the Tarrant County Democratic Party chair since 2013, and before that, she was vice president for AT&T for 33 years. She's also active in her church community and a wonderful advocate throughout the community. So, Deborah, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and then I will see you back at the end.
Hey, very good. Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today, and thank you for allowing me to be here. May Ferguson is probably one of my favorite people, and I'm going to tell you, all you had to do was say Sister Cities, and you had me at Sisters. So promoting Fort Worth internationally is extremely important to me. You know, as someone who works in community, I have always said, you know, when you understand what is going on in the world, it broadens your whole life experience and it helps you to grow. And so I love that May and Sister Cities recognize that our world is more interconnected than any of us ever believed. From jobs to trade to promoting dialogue. I mean, it is just, we have to do that and we have to build those relationships. And so May talked about my going to Reggio Emilio, but I've also had a chance to go to Trier. I've gone to Toluca to an amazing women's conference, and I've also been to Swaziland. So I have had, of the 9 sister cities that you have, I've had the opportunity to go and be on the ground in 4 of them, and am just in absolute awe of the diplomatic work that you all do. And so when I look at Fort Worth and I talk about Fort Worth and how we are rapidly growing, and we're soon to be the 12th largest city in the country, I know that international relations are strategically important to us and the things that we want to do. You know, in terms of bringing great jobs here, in terms of creating this world-class city with world-class transportation systems, you have to have those relationships. So I believe in the mission of Sister Cities. I believe in how you partner internationally. And so I heard something that you said at the very beginning when you talked about there have been groups that have stepped back from kind of the international scene. And that makes me very sad, because we don't need to be stepping back from this. We need to be even bolder. We need to, you know, we're a rapidly growing city. They're saying by 2040, we'll have 1.2 million residents. I believe we're going to have more than that. These residents are extremely diverse. When I look at the makeup of Fort Worth, and I tell everybody this, I said, we are an extraordinarily diverse city. We are Latinx, we are white, we are African American, we are Asian. This city is truly a diverse city and represents what is best about bringing all of our cultures and our diversity together. And so I believe we have DFW Airport that is right here. It is a tool in our toolbox, and we should be using it. And so I think we are primed to become that major city and major institution through sister cities that helps to bring us together internationally. I look forward to traveling more. I wanted to go with you on several other trips and wasn't able to, but just so you know a little bit about me, I love Fort Worth. I believe in this city. I believe in the things we're trying to do. I did work for AT&T for 34 and a half years, I like to tell people. But during that time, I learned to reach out and build teams and to collaborate with people. And for me, it's, you know, I am chair of the Tarrant County Democratic Party because I tell everybody the Democratic Party most aligns with things that I care about. But I also know the value in building relationships across political parties. I work with our Republican chair here. I work with our Libertarian chair. And I never let things like politics stand in the way of what the big picture is. And for me, the big picture is promoting Fort Worth so that our city reaps the benefits of being this international ambassador. I did serve on the board of Sister Cities. I am a total fan of Sister Cities. I want to know what I can do when I am mayor to help promote the mission of Sister Cities, because I believe this is not just, I don't believe this is just about building friendships around the world. This has benefits to us in terms of economic development and growing our city and providing good jobs and good opportunities for all of our residents. So I see sister cities as a major tool in our toolbox when we are looking to promote Fort Worth, grow it, and take care of our residents. So May knows I talk really fast and I talk a lot, but what I like to do is have a conversation. And so, Jason, I know that you're going to ask me some questions, and I welcome those questions because that's how you all get to know me better. I can tell you all day the things I've done, but you need to hear from me what my plans are. So, May, I know that wasn't 15 minutes, but I'm going to stop talking and let Jason kind of start asking questions.
Okay, thank you, Deborah, and welcome to our conversation. You mentioned the focus on promoting Fort Worth internationally, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about your goals related to this. I know you were on the board of Sister Cities for 6 years, so you're probably somewhat familiar with what we do, but tell us a little bit about how Sister Cities might fit into that goal of promoting Fort Worth internationally.
So one of the things, so Jason, I really believe, and I've talked to this a lot about economic development. And so one of the things that the mayor and the council job is to do is to try to get businesses, bring businesses to Fort Worth, bring those business opportunities to Fort Worth. And I believe it's, you know, our job is to sell Fort Worth. And when we put our best foot forward and we go out and we're through programs like Sister Cities, putting on such a good, you know, letting people know how great Fort Worth is, then it helps us to bring businesses here. So for me, this is not just a social thing. For me, it also has an economic development portion to it that we have to use and take advantage of. And so I know in the past that Sister Cities, one of the things is we've struggled, you know, to get funding and underwriting. But when you start looking at this as a business issue and how we help to grow the city, then it becomes easy to justify funding programs like Sister Cities.
And as a follow-up to that, how would you see Sister Cities fitting into that economic development? What programs in particular would you think would help the most, or programs, maybe things that we're not doing now that could be effective to help the city?
So one of the things I did, and May was talking about, I had a chance to be part of the delegation that went to Reggio Emilia, and I went to Trier. And so it's about taking our elected officials and key members of the community and making those connections with business leaders and government leaders to sell the city. And so I think that's a big part of it. I love our youth programs, but I think where the real rubber meets the road is in making those business connections and bringing those people here to Fort Worth. And so Jason, don't get me wrong, I'm big on the youth connection, but I also believe, you know, I had a chance to Visit Fort Worth. And so one of the key things for Visit Fort Worth is tourism. And so we were talking about the arts and tourism, but I said, you know, if we know that that is a big source of revenue for us, what are the things that we're doing to promote tourism? Well, I think Sister Cities is absolutely an ambassador for us around the world. And people think of, this surprises people when I tell people that Fort Worth is bigger than Atlanta. We're bigger than DC. We're bigger than New Orleans. People go, you're kidding. I go, no, we are this amazing city with all of these things, you know, all of the museums, you know, the whole Cowboys with culture. And people don't, if they don't know about the city, they don't know that. And so I see Sister Cities as, for us, an ambassador for Fort Worth.
Great. Speaking of the programs of Sister Cities, one of the topics in the national conversation has been around diversity and inclusion. How could we use Sister Cities programs to help address diversity in Fort Worth? And do you have any ideas on how Sister Cities could do more to help the city in this regard?
So Jason, they told you many years ago I was on the board. I think Sister Cities has been one of the first organizations to really understand the concept of diversity and inclusion and reach out to try to put together a very diverse board. Also, you know, when I looked at every trip that I've been on with Sister Cities, it's always been a very diverse group of citizens from around the city. You have actively reached out. And I think that is one of Sister Cities' strengths, is because you travel around the world and you understand the concept of diversity and you see this in other cities. You have been able to bring that mindset back to Fort Worth and have been very proactive in reaching out. And, you know, some of the young people in your youth program, especially when I was in Trier, I still keep up with them. We have a dialogue, and I am, you know, we talk to each other. And so I think that that is a strength of Sister Cities, and we need to replicate it. I mean, we need to, and so when we support programs that Sister Cities does, then more people get to see it and more people get to understand the mission.
Great. How much, this is one of the pre-canned questions, I think you've addressed it, but I'll allow you to expand on it. How much value do you place on having a Sister City program, knowing that many of our competitor cities also have competitive programs?
So let me just tell you, let me go back to what I said. It's immeasurable. We are the 12th largest city in the country, and we are fighting with other cities to get companies to move here, to get contracts to move here. But a lot of this is about relationships that you build. And I think what Sister Cities does by going, you know, with the brand that it promotes, it is invaluable to us. It's an invaluable resource. And Mary Palco just said, ask my question. Okay, Mary, what's your question?
I'll ask the question for you, because I was waiting, Mary, until the end, until I got through May's questions, but we'll go ahead with Mary. It has been said and written that an international relocation company's quick litmus test for an international corporate site is to look at their sister cities. It says it all about a city and its leaders' capacity and willingness to embrace and tolerate inclusion, diversity, and equality. Yes. Would you agree with this?
So, Mary, yes. So, Mary, you just summed up what I've been saying. Okay. So, Mary Palco, absolutely. I am. So, I just tell everybody, for me, this is a call about coming home, because I believe in the mission of Sister Cities. And I agree. When companies look to move here, they're looking for things like quality of life. They're going to look at things like your school system. They're going to look at things like what's the housing capacity. They're going to look at things like, you know, what's your transportation system look like. But they're also going to look at the residents, and they're going to look at, you know, what life satisfaction is like. And I think Sister Cities helps to promote that. So, Mary, absolutely, yes. Did that answer your question?
Okay, next question we had is, how do you plan to address the homeless people tent city when you were mayor?
Oh my goodness. So you all just threw me a softball question, because that's a very sore spot with me. For those of you who know, I live on the east side of Fort Worth. And so many of the homeless have been aggregated in a community that's probably about 4 miles from me. So I see them every day. And here's my thing, and I'm going to be very frank with you. I think we have studied this problem to death. I'm tired of studying it. There have been committee after committee after committee under every administration, and we still don't seem to make any headway. So one of the things I want to do is we need to, number one, try to find more housing to get folks off the street. And so one of the things I talked about, we've been tearing down apartment buildings. We should repurpose those so that our homeless can live there. But just getting people into homes is not enough. We need to beef up our services to go in and do diagnostic services. I know that everybody that's homeless is not on drugs. Everybody that's homeless is not an alcoholic. Everybody that's homeless is not mentally ill. We need more diagnostic services to get in and find out what's going on. And then we need to help people get jobs. We need to provide them transportation. I had a question that came up on a call last night about free bus service, that we, you know, when people were going to look for jobs, that we used used to give free bus service, and we took that away. The ridership on buses are down. Many of our buses are half empty. Why wouldn't we be giving people an opportunity to get to a job, to get to work, to help them get on their feet? So whoever asked that question, that the whole issue of homelessness is one that's in my 100-day plan, because when we had the big freeze, Jason, and it got to be 40 degrees in my house, and I said, I'm going to a hotel. I had to drive down Lancaster to get downtown to the hotel, and to see people that were outside and, huddled together just made me want to cry. We cannot be a world-class city and not address homelessness.
Great, thank you for that answer. Looking to see if there's any more Q&A. A new one just popped up.
Okay.
Deborah, you have said that the way Fort Worth Sister Cities can get more support from the city is to help it with economic development issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
The existing staff of Fort Worth Sister Cities is very lean. Given that and your thoughts, would you support first funding a position on staff at Fort Worth Sister Cities to help the organization help the city work on economic development?
So, Jason, the answer is yes. And let me tell you why. Many people see sister cities as, and I'm not looking, they don't see it as I see it, as the economic engine that it can be. And I think you have to sit down and take programs like Sister Cities, like Visit Fort Worth, and say, what do they bring to the bottom line? And once you start doing that and you do the equation and you understand that they bring value, and the value is not, the value is not social, the value, it really reaps economic benefits, then you can justify those positions. And that's what I tell people all the time. Many times we look at and we decide, oh, that's not, meat and potatoes, so we don't need it. But it is meat and potatoes if it ultimately delivers revenue and profitability as a result, as an end product, and you have to be willing to do that.
Thank you. Okay, next question is one of the other areas is that the city administration is sometimes not very customers friendly for people wanting to relocate or grow businesses here, especially in the building permit process. Do you plan to address this if Fort Worth wants to be a world-class city?
Okay, so there are 19 people on this call, and so I'm going to tell you all, don't get me in trouble with this. I recently had to work with the building permits folks, and I had a sitting city council person tell me, Deborah, they are evil. I was just like, and so I had a sitting city council person say, this is horrible. So I'm just telling you, what should have taken a couple of days to arrange took me about 3 weeks. I was frustrated, I was upset, but I was really good. I didn't do, I was really good. Absolutely, we need to do that. And let me just say, it wasn't just my own personal experience, it was the experience. I've been talking to a lot of groups. I've been talking to builders and contractors, and that complaint comes up frequently. I understand that part of it is COVID related. I mean, that was one of the excuses I was given, that a lot of people aren't in the offices, but even when they're in the offices, we have to streamline the service. So absolutely.
Great, thank you for that. If there are any more questions, please post them. Otherwise, it sounds like we have a wrap. May, back to you.
Oh, don't have a wrap. I love Sister Cities. Keep asking me questions.
And you mentioned, Deborah, that you have a 100-day plan if you're elected. I mean, feel free, if you want to elaborate on that. We have a little more time.
Okay.
So we want to give you all the time you want.
Okay. Well, and let me just tell you, I think, and so I promise you all, I'm not anticipating anything, but good. I think you have to plan. If I win, when I win, what happens on day one? And so I am meeting with a lot of folks in our, who know a lot about transportation. We want to dust off those transportation plans and start looking at, at transportation. I have long said that great cities have great transportation systems. I mean, you have to be able to get around. And in a city that is growing as rapidly as ours is, we can't just depend on roads. I know we're Texans and we love to get in our cars and we love to drive, but we cannot depend on that as a long-term solution. We can't keep building roads. We also can't keep, right now we have to re-image the city bus. I get on the city bus, but I know many people who don't get on the city bus. So we have to look at, what other opportunities do we have? I believe we have to look at light rail, and we have to start dusting off those plans and putting them together. I know it's expensive, but that's why we have to dust them off and look at them and come up with a timeline to start implementing these things. The other thing that I talked to you about was homelessness. I think, when companies, and, Mary was asking this, when companies want to relocate here, they look at certain things. They look at, what our schools look like. They look at what, the housing market looks like. They look at a myriad of things, but they also look at things like the poverty level and things like that. So I think we have to attack homelessness. And I know the other big thing is, I know as mayor, I know we have a city manager, but part of my job is to help attract businesses here. The mayor then becomes an ambassador to get businesses to come here. And so I have that plan around, how we do not only economic development, but small business support. So I am happy to share it with you. I have a public safety plan. One of the things I've talked to a lot of people about is, and trust me, I talk to everybody. I'm an equal opportunity bugger. I call everybody to ask them their opinion. And so, we got to, where public safety is concerned, we've got some issues of trust in some communities. We've got to fix those. I tell everybody, my brother was a policeman. I understand, police. I want good policing. I respect police, but I know that there are issues of trust. And a lot of people who are telling me, we got to fix that. And so that is something, I've been talking to people about starting to do my public safety tours. I'm going to go to communities. I'm going to go with our police department. I'm going to listen and find out what are issues. So I've got a very ambitious plan, and I'm ready to go to work.
Well, Deborah, then I'll wrap this up and just tell you, thank you so much.
Okay.
You know how lean and mean we are.
Yes.
You've had to work with us before, and I know the board of directors, the members are appreciative of all that you have done for sister cities in the past, and I love the conversation we're having today, and your vision for that as well.
And I know the struggles that Sister Cities has with getting funded, and and I always think, we need to stop looking at Sister Cities as something extra, and see it as the vital component that it is in promoting this city. And that has always been my thought. And I know Danielle is on here, and I know how hard she works and how hard everybody works. And I just think we need to appreciate the assets that we have and make use of them. And I understand budgets. I know budgets are tough, but I think you also have to look at the assets you have and how you use them to help grow the city and get to your goals. So this is not a campaign thing. I think May knows I am a fan of Sister Cities. I want to help promote Sister Cities. And when I'm your mayor, you're going to know you have a friend in me.
Thank you very much, Deborah. And when you move, if you're elected and you move the city hall over to the new building, we want to be right there with you. And be that Center for International Relations so that we can make this great city even better. And just as a reminder, Fort Worth has the best Sister Cities program in the nation now.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
10 times we've been given that award. So
yes, it does.
We'll work together to make that happen.
Okay.
For all of you that are here with us today, what you can do now is go out and vote for whomever your candidate is. Election day is May 1st. Our next conversation is on March 30 at 3 o'clock with Steve Pinotti. So we will see you then. Deborah, thank you so much for giving us the time today. We wish you luck. And Jason, thank you for moderating.
Thank
and
you,
for
Jason.
everyone else, have a good afternoon, and we will see you again.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm back out hitting the campaign trail. Look, I put on an outfit that I bought when I was in Swaziland, but I'm back out. Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Deborah.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you.